Once there was an old man named Thomas. He lived in a small wooden house at the edge of a quiet town. Every morning he woke up before sunrise, made a cup of tea, and sat by the window. He looked at the road with hopeful eyes. Every passing car made his heart beat a little faster. Maybe today, he thought, maybe today my son will come home. Thomas had only one child. His son's name was Daniel. After Daniel's mother passed away, Thomas became both a father and a mother. He worked long hours at a factory during the day and spent his evenings cooking dinner, helping with homework, and reading bedtime stories. Life was never easy, but Thomas never complained. His son's smile made every sacrifice worth it. Money was always short. There were days when Thomas skipped meals so Daniel could have enough to eat. During cold winters, Thomas wore his old coat so he could buy a warm jacket for his son. He quietly sold his wedding ring to pay Daniel's college fees. Daniel never knew how much his father had given up for him. Years passed, and Daniel graduated from college with excellent grades. Thomas stood proudly in the crowd during the graduation ceremony. His eyes filled with tears as he watched his son receive his diploma. He believed all the hard years were finally over. He dreamed of spending peaceful days with the son he loved so deeply. Soon after graduation, Daniel found a good job in a big city. He packed his bags and promised, "Dad, I'll visit every month. I'll call you every day. We will always be together." Thomas smiled and hugged him tightly. "I know you will, son. I'm proud of you." At first, Daniel kept his promise. He called often and visited whenever he could, but little by little the calls became shorter. Then they became less frequent. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. Whenever Thomas called, Daniel sounded busy. "I'm in a meeting, Dad. I'll call you later. I'm traveling this week." The call later never came. Thomas never became angry. Instead, he made excuses for his son. "He works very hard. He must be tired. He will remember me soon." Every birthday, Thomas baked Daniel's favorite apple pie. He placed 2 plates on the table, hoping the front door would open. But every year, only silence came. One rainy evening, Daniel finally visited. Thomas's face lit up with happiness. He cooked every dish his son loved. They ate dinner together after a very long time. After dinner, Daniel looked uncomfortable. "Dad, I need to tell you something." Thomas smiled gently. "What is it, son?" "I've decided to move overseas. It's a great opportunity. I may not come back for many years." For a moment, Thomas's heart felt heavy, but he forced a smile. "If it makes you happy, you should go." Daniel nodded. "Thank you for understanding." The next morning, he left. Thomas stood at the gate until the car disappeared from sight. That was the last time he saw his son. The house became quieter than ever. The clock on the wall sounded louder each day. Thomas still made 2 cups of tea every morning without thinking. Then he quietly poured 1 cup back into the kettle. Sometimes neighbors invited him to family gatherings, but he politely refused. Deep inside, he still hoped Daniel would suddenly appear at his door. Years passed. Thomas's hair turned completely white. Walking became slower. His hands shook when he held a cup. Still, every evening, he sat by the window. One winter morning, Thomas found an old photo album. Every page was filled with memories. Daniel's first birthday, his first day of school, fishing together by the lake, building a snowman. Thomas smiled through tears. "I had a beautiful life," he whispered. A few days later, Thomas met a young boy named Noah, who had recently moved into the neighborhood with his grandmother. Noah noticed the old man sitting alone every evening. One day he walked over and asked, "May I sit with you?" Thomas smiled warmly. Of course. From that day on, Noah visited almost every afternoon. They played chess, shared stories, fed birds in the park. Thomas even taught Noah how to repair old wooden toys. For the first time in many years, laughter returned to the little house. One afternoon, Noah asked softly, "Do you have children?" Thomas looked toward the empty road. "Yes, I have a son." "Does he visit?" Thomas paused before answering. "No, but I still wish him happiness." Noah held the old man's hand. "You must be a wonderful father." Those simple words touched Thomas's heart more deeply than Noah could ever know. Months later, Daniel received a phone call from one of Thomas's neighbors. His father had become seriously ill. Daniel booked the first flight home. During the long journey, memories flooded his mind. His father's tired hands, his gentle smile, the old bicycle they repaired together, the bedtime stories, the sacrifices he never noticed. Tears filled Daniel's eyes. "I was always too busy," he whispered. "I thought there would always be more time." When Daniel finally arrived, he rushed into the small house. Thomas was resting in bed. Slowly, he opened his eyes. For a second, he wasn't sure if he was dreaming. Then he smiled. "You came." Daniel fell to his knees beside the bed. "I'm so sorry, Dad. I forgot what truly mattered. I left you all alone." Thomas gently placed his weak hand on his son's face. "You are here now." "That's enough." Daniel cried like a little boy. For the first time in years, father and son embraced each other without saying another word. Daniel stayed with his father every day after that. They shared breakfast together, walked slowly through the garden, looked through old family photographs, talked about the years they had lost. One peaceful evening, Thomas sat by the window as the sun slowly disappeared behind the hills. Daniel stood beside him. "Dad," he said quietly, "I'm coming home for good." Thomas smiled. "I've been waiting a long time to hear those words." Not every story gets a second chance, but this one did. Because love may wait silently for years, yet it never truly disappears. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give the people we love is not money, success, or expensive presents. It is simply our time.